Hi, today we're going to replace this floorboard because I don't like the way it looks. This is a golden acacia floor, pre-finished hardwood, and this board seems to be a lot lower than the other two. It's just a problem that sometimes you run into. Show you what tools we're going to need here. This is my trusty little router, and I just have a straight bit on it. I like to use a little bit of a wider one so I can run a groove right along the side and then pop the board right out. I'll probably cut a T in it also. Here's a close-up of the actual router bit that I'm using. What I'm going to do is start off with it just about there, about a third of the depth of the actual wood floor. Another thing you want to make sure of is that you actually have a piece of wood that is going to fit in your spot. I know that this is the right length. We could cut it down if we needed to. I'm going to start out by running a groove right down the side where the tongue is, making sure to stay a little bit off the edge. You could do this with a guide, but I don't want to have any holes here or here from nailing to hold that down. There's no real great way to clamp it unless you had suction or something. I don't know. So I'm going to run a groove right down the side right here where the tongue is, and I know the tongue is on this side because I worked this floor out from that way this way. So I'll run a groove right down it, and then I'm going to cut a T, which will allow me to pull this board in. Hopefully I'll break the nails. That's another reason you want to have the glasses on, just in case one of the nails pops and flies out at you. Now, as you can see, this does make a pretty big mess. What we're going to do now is adjust this router to the thickness of the actual hardwood. So I've got my other piece of hardwood here. Back up so you can see that. And all I want to do is carefully hit that adjustment right to there. Close it back up. Now I'm going to do one more pass at full depth. And you want to be real careful with this part. Now, as you can see, that's pretty hard on a router bit. And it makes a really big mess. So, I'm going to clean up the mess. All cleaned up. There's our board with our little groove and T cut into it. As you can see right here, I just try to get close to the edge, but not actually too close that you damage the next board. Because if you get so close that you damage the next board, you're going to end up doing this with the next board. And as you saw from the sparks, we went through a couple of the staples that hold it in. Down there, I had another one here, another one down here somewhere. So now we get to go out to the shop, which I have set up on the deck, and cut the board a little bit. Prep the new board. So I've got my table saw here. And what I'm going to do is set the height of that blade. The light's kind of bad out here. There we go. The height of that blade to cut off the back of the groove. There, about right like that. Now I have my fence set up. So all I'm going to do is cut off the back of this groove, and then I'm going to rotate the board, use my miter gauge, and do the same thing on the side. Now what I need to do is take off the tongue. And we're going to do that going to about 15 degrees. This doesn't have to be perfect. As we say, it ain't a piano. As you can see, I'm going to cut off just the tongue and not damage the finish on the top of the board at all. Now we're going to go over to the chop saw and do the same kind of thing. I'm going to tip this out to about 15 degrees. 10, 5, doesn't really matter. Just something. I'm going to line that up. Same thing. Don't want to damage the top, but I do need to get rid of that tongue. Now I like to put my saw back to 0. And as you can see, we've got the end here mitered, we've got the back mitered, and this board can just drop right in. And what I'm going to do is try to pop that board out without damaging anything else around it. I can normally, excuse me, get right under it. Try it this way. And what happens is that little skinny piece will just break that we left. Nice and gently. There goes half of it. I'll get under this. Try to snap that right out too. Okay, now this is the... I'm going to gently get in there. Pull this piece out. You don't want to pry against any of these boards at all if you don't have to. But if you do have to, I recommend getting like something that wouldn't mar it. I'm going to vacuum this out a little bit. Now what I want to do is flatten out where there were any of the staples left over, and I'm going to take my razor knife here. I'm going to cut all this red rosin paper out, or whatever underlayment somebody may have used or not. The last one of these I did, the board was glued in, so that was a little bit of a pain in the butt. Oh, here comes our little Doberman helper for the day. She's sitting on the stairs, whining a little bit. Say hi to Maya. That's Maya. It's winter, so she's wearing her jacket. Back to the business at hand. Now you can see we got it all cleaned out. Little piece right here. Now I'm going to take some glue. Construction adhesive. This is PL Premium. It's not a commercial, but they seems to be my favorite. Holds pretty well, and it's kind of soft, so you can squish stuff down into it. And what I do, this gun always leaks, so I take a piece of this extra red rosin that I had laying around, set it on top of it, because that's the last thing you want is glue everywhere on your nice new hardwood floor. So we've got our piece. Face it the proper direction with our slant where the tongue used to be. And if all is right, it should drop right into the glue. Now, if it's at all raised up, you're going to want to put some heavy weights on it. Bricks, pot full of water, something. 5-gallon bucket. Anyway, that wasn't that hard, was it? And what we've got, oops, you can't even tell that board was just replaced And what you want to do is leave that. I'm going to have to put some weight on this one. That end's a little high. But that'll squish right down in there. Be hard as a rock. So, thanks. That's how to replace a board in a hardwood floor. See you next time.